That thing.
Yes. Right, wait. Y'all gotta keep.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections and Voter Registration. The date is July 9th. Time is 4:35 p.m. We're at 120 West Doherty Street in Athens. First item on the agenda is to adopt it. Okay.
Second.
Oh, look at this.
No.
Motion, Ms. Till, Ms. Bamber, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is adopted. The floor is open for a motion to approve the set of minutes in front of us, which include June 11th, which is a regular meeting, June 18th, special meeting, June 24th, special meeting.
We're gonna look over a few minutes.
I was gonna say, if someone's ready, you can go ahead, we can hold them. But sure, everybody's got plenty of time. So did you?
I'll make that motion. I so move that we accept the minutes of June 11th, June 18th, and June 24, 2024.
Okay, we have a second. Second. Great. Second, Mr. Shirley, a motion by Ms. Bamber. Do any members have any questions or comments on the minutes, or shall we take a vote?
Nice meeting.
24?
One else. Okay.
So which, the 24 members, so we need to remove. No, this is correct.
Yeah.
Right, okay, it's correct. All right, all those in favor of adopting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good. Next item on the agenda is public comment. If any member of the public wishes to make a comment, please step to the podium. 1 moment for the timer. All right, go for it.
So I'm Jacqueline Elsner, 315 Caldwell Circle. Good to be with you. And my comment is about what the state election board is pondering. They had a meeting this morning and they'll have a follow-up meeting August 6th. And one of their things they're talking about is certification of each county, 159 counties. A county may decide not to certify their county election because they have not completed a reasonable inquiry. And the next meeting of the state election board is a week before y'all meet. And y'all follow state election board rules. And what I'm asking is if the attorney, and I know that Director Sosby is informed about all this, and y'all will be as well. But if you will stay on this, because public comment or any kind of reflection from our board, who, in my observation, y'all know what integrity Clarke County elections are. I don't see y'all deciding that you think you need to make a reasonable inquiry to certify our county elections. You know, because you're here and you're informed about it. But it could happen in other counties. It is happening. So what I'm asking is if y'all would stay informed about what are the ramifications of what the state election board brought up this morning at 9 a.m. Because August 6th is when you could reply with anything you want Clarke County Board of Elections to observe. And it's before your next meeting. And I have no doubt that the county attorneys will advise and Director Sosby will be informed. But I'm quite concerned about it. Not about Clarke, but about other counties. And I just appreciate y'all and know that you're people of integrity and honor. And you run our elections properly and our staff run our elections properly. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, are there any other members wishing to make public comment? Or any other members of the public? The next item on the agenda is the director's report. Chair recognizes the director.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. I would like to make note of our activity report that you will have in your packets. And it shows that we have a total of 69,225 active registered voters. 12,826 of those voters are inactive. We have now an eligible total of 82,051 voters. And 145 cancellations this past month, the month of June. That was 49 deceased voters and 96 felony removals. We have produced 21 voter IDs that were requested, and we issued those to those voters who requested those. And of course, we mailed out 59 absentee ballots, and that was for the June election. And we had received 31 of those ballots back, and they were included in our certification of the primary runoff election. The next item is the Spanish translation update we provided for you also in your packet. What we have completed, most are signs. We're working on, and some forms and notices that we have provided already in Spanish. And then for the week of July 15th, next week, we will work on the notices that will be in reference to the November election, which will be the LNA notice, the early tabulation of absentee ballots, the voter registration deadlines, and the canvassing and computation. All those notices will be prepared in English and sent to our translator so that we'll have them ready for Spanish for the November election. I am still in communication with the Center of Elections for the Secretary of State's office. I will receive, I've got to touch base again, but I have touched base already to find out when we should expect our English state version ballot so that we can send it to our translators so they get the Spanish version back to us. So that when I begin to approve the ballot, which I hope to begin late August, can also include the translator, and we will go to the Secretary of State's office to review the ballot and approve the Spanish version on the ballot marker device. And then we'll sign off on the ballot, and then we will be ready to have our ballots in two languages. I am still waiting to get specifics. My idea is that when our voters go to the ballot marker device, they will select, all voters will select which version language that they wish to vote. And how we can determine what number of voters selected Spanish, I'm not sure. So I've got to get the logistics on all of that so that I can have accurate information for you. Yes.
How would we keep that confidential? How would you know?
I don't believe it would be confidential. That would be part of an open records.
It's not like,
I think that's disclosed.
for me, it's kind of like asking, you know, the percentage of race thing that we do, that they do. I think for me now, I'm no lawyer, but maybe we should ask the lawyers.
Because it would just be numbers, wouldn't it?
Yes, statistics.
Nothing about a
There's
name
no
or.
Yeah, it would be part of the statistics. So we'll be able to identify if that information is available. We'll be able to identify what number of ballots were requested in Spanish and what number was requested in English.
Okay, I guess my question was, let's say you went into the ballot marking device and you selected Spanish.
Mhm.
That would not show. It would just be simply a number one count, not Charlotte Soseby selected this or this.
And I'm pretty sure we'll be able to identify what particular precincts or what combos were actually selected for that part. I'm pretty sure eventually the Secretary of State's office will be able to identify that.
And then if it was early voting, you could tie it back to the combo.
It'll definitely go back to the. Yes.
And okay, the numbers.
Almost an absentee, but we're not doing the absentee ballots, but I'm sure by then. So, and I'm sure that's gonna be great data for us if we can get that for, next year when you're having your retreat. The third item is the update on the location, relocating 7A, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We, staff and we went out to visit Terabella and immediately identified a issue that would be parking. So we didn't really get to meet with the facilitator, the facilities manager, because they were out. Some kind of emergency, I guess, what had taken place because we weren't aware of it when we got there, but we were scheduling their calendar. Since then, we have also visited with the Baptist Church, and we have spoken with their location and did an on-site visit. And part of the visit, we were informed that on Tuesday, second and fourth Tuesday of each month, they have a food bank, and it is administered in the same area that we would have the election. So there's a block there for us as well. So since then, I've had a conversation with our GIS department who are here with us today, and they have provided us a map of 7A. And my request to them was to do a simple fix so that not too many voters are affected. Well, they're all going to be affected, but not many will have an issue. The only issue we would have is identifying, if we did the split of Timothy Road, identifying the house numbers that are on the right side of Timothy Road coming off of Atlanta Highway, and assigning them to one location, and then the voters on the left side of Timothy Road assigning them to another location. The two locations that I was considering were Memorial Park and the library. But it looks like the possibility or the best solution would be to send the voters that are on the right side of Timothy Road from Atlanta Highway to Timothy Elementary School, and then the voters on the left side of 7A will go to the library. So that's some conversations I think that needs to be had today. Good. And I have a timeline that if you make the decision today, we would like to go ahead and start working on our ads. Getting that ad prepared tomorrow to go to the Banner Herald as well as the Unitarian Universalist, because 21-265 requires us to inform the location, the former location that we will be making the change, and to also let them know what day this ad will appear in the paper. So our hope is to have the ads appear in the paper. You make a decision to change the location. We put the ad in the paper on Sunday, July 14th and 21st. Then you will vote no later than July 23rd to actually make that change. I think that will require a vote. And then we would update the voters in the voter registration system. 60 days prior to an election, we have to inform all of our voters of their polling location change. The 60th day is September 6th. So it's our goal to have those cards in the mail by August the 19th. And then, of course, going on into the code section of 21-265, the notice will appear in the paper 2 consecutive weeks prior to the election. And that means that we will have the map and notification to our voters of the location change. It will go in Sunday's paper of October 20th and 27th. And then we will post the notices at those former locations the week prior and at 3 locations in the immediate vicinity of that previous polling location. And then those notices will be posted no later than October 28th. And you have that timeline there in front of you. So I understand y'all have that as an agenda item.
I have some questions. Has the attorney's office looked at this? Okay. I have some questions when we get
I do want to be clear. I think we've looked at it. We've had about 3 hours, I think, to look at it is fair. So we've provided initial guidance, but it's not the kind of overview that we would like to be able to.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is when we did the big change, God had some concerns and we kind of had to redo and go back and do it multiple notices. So I want to just make sure that that's built into this correctly.
Again, the best we can do with 3 hours. We think we have given you the best advice.
And the board did not write this, so.
Okay, and then regarding your retreat that was scheduled for later this month, based on your time availability, I've made a recommendation after speaking with Chairman Raffle that we cancel the retreat for July, August, and to pick back up in February. And I think via email, you guys really agreed that there was a consensus that it'd be okay. And then we're asking the board to make a change to the September meeting due to us being out of town for the national conference. Staff will be out of town. And the only thing else I have is our open records request. And I'm going to turn over to Audra in case she wants to talk about any of those, anything that's odd about these requests. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay,
So there were a total of 7 open records requests, but you won't see like the cover letter I normally have for all of them because on one of them, the requester rescinded the request and said that they may request it at a later date. And then on another one, you will see the page that looks like this because the files were so big. So this is what it looks like when it goes to them and the confirmation email comes back through the FTPS site. And I think those were the only things to stand out on those. And if I may, can I go ahead and discuss absentee while you're on me?
Yes.
So, voters who are hopefully on and listening, please share. The window for applications for the November election. The window opens August 19th and it closes October 25th. If I receive any applications before that, I have to reject them because they're received too early. If I receive any applications after October 25th, I have to reject them because they're received too late. If you're going to mail your application to our office, just wait till the 19th and mail it no earlier than 15th, 16th, and we'll get it on time. But anything that comes in before that, I have to reject it. If you have any questions about filling out the form, it's pretty straightforward, but I know, it could be confusing to some people. Please call the office and ask your questions and don't just go based on what somebody up the street said or what you heard on the news that pertains to a different county. We're not having those problems in Athens-Clarke County. Once again, I'm going to emphasize, I cannot take your applications before August 19th, unless, of course, it's someone who is already out of the country and they're requesting UOCAVA ballots. If you know somebody who needs a UOCAVA ballot, they cannot walk in the office tomorrow and ask me, can they go ahead and fill it out? The answer is no. They have to physically be out of the country. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is old business. Oh, I'm sorry. Does anyone have any questions for the director's report aside from the 2 agenda items that we're gonna address that were covered in the report?
I have a question. I don't know whether it's ever been discussed or not, but what kind of campaign will we have to notify other than through the mail? These voters that we're moving to another precinct. Because for me, it has to be really, uptick and really kind of constant to make them aware of that. Because of the window that we're working with. So that was my question. Do you have any, are we getting anything in place?
Could we wait for the sets related to that and discuss it as a second agenda item?
Oh, it's already on there.
Well, I mean, I think that's covered under that.
Okay, no problem.
It's all kind of in one basket.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, but, all right. The first item of old business is removing Winterville Cultural Center as a polling place for advanced voting, effective October 1st, 2024. And it's my memory that we already did that. Was there further action needing to be taken?
Yeah, did we vote on it? I can't.
Maybe that's, do you recall?
I'm checking the minutes. And you know, maybe you should, when I make a recommendation for the November election, just not include it, and that would be your way of voting. These are gonna be the locations for advanced voting for the November election.
It's true, we haven't positively voted yet to make it a voting location for November, just for this past May. So.
Oh, so we can just table it until, and you'll just bring it to us. Okay, that works.
Meant to do that, I apologize.
We're all busy. We're all going every direction. We're all sweating to death outside too. All right. Next item is 7A. What are we gonna do? If the board members are okay, just want to recognize GIS, see what they had suggested for us, and then we can go from there. There we go.
Okay, so the initial suggestion was to divide 7A by Timothy Road. And anything, I'm gonna say north and south. Anything to the north would originally have gone to Memorial Park, and that's approximately 2007 eligible voters. And then to the south, that is 1,354, and that would, did I say that wrong? This would go to Memorial Park, and this would go to the library.
Well, as it stands, all those people are currently at the Unitarian.
Yes.
Right, yeah, 1361 are currently. And so,
33.
and so then it's being divided into 2007 and 1354. Okay. But it sounds like what we're gonna do is the 1354 down here, go to Timothy Road Elementary School, and then the 2007 over here, go to the library. So nothing would be going to Memorial Park, other than what's already.
So when we have the library, we have all three rooms always.
Yes.
Remember years ago, I voted in there once and it was just one of the rooms. The floor's open to whoever.
Question. So just to be clear, in case someone is watching this and missed the previous conversation that got us here, this is not initiated by us. This is not the Board of Elections saying, hey, let's change 7A.
Right.
This was initiated by the current polling place, told us that they would no longer be able to host us as a polling location. It had nothing to do with us, law, or it was, we had been there at the pleasure of them. They had offered us their place for this many elections, and they said no longer that would be the case. So that's what initiated this, right? Just in case somebody thinks, didn't I just get through with this last year? Why am I doing this again?
Yes.
We didn't bring this on this time. We're having to deal with their request to change polling location. Is that right?
That is correct.
And their letter was included in our packet at one point, I
Yes.
believe.
Yes.
And it was because of insurance.
Right.
Their business, maybe it's not business, but their insurance policies.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to be sure that was, in
Yes.
case somebody gets confused that we're maybe meddling with something or trying to mess with something, but it's not.
Right.
This is- We're just
Right.
responding.
And can I also make note that our initial search was, let's find another location in the precinct boundaries. We looked at churches, we looked at, and we felt, well, I'll back up on that. We looked at churches, we looked at Terabella, okay? Now, the idea with churches, we did visit with Timothy, as I mentioned earlier. The idea with churches, I have a fear that once the other churches find out that their policies may increase, that we may be looking at this situation again. And what I don't want to have happen is for our voters to be changed now, and then we find out in 2026 that now we've got to change them again because they're at a church who now says our policies, and there's a disclaimer in our policy that requires us to have additional, pay additional premium. So that's why I decided to reach out to GIS and say, hey, can we just split these, send them somewhere else? Now, this will decrease our number of precincts. So that's always going to be something that, that alerts to a lot of the organizations that we're reducing our number. Well, we are, but we're also putting them in places that will have the parking that we need.
Publicly owned buildings.
Publicly owned buildings. There are also space there that we can add more equipment, put more workers there to make sure that,
Going by the
processes-
codes. We're abiding by the codes that we have to abide by.
and we're gonna encourage our voters to vote early.
Mhm.
That's just it. We definitely gonna do.
Because this change, this change will only affect people voting on election day.
Yes.
That's the only time this ever really matters anyway. If I'm voting it early, I can choose any of the locations.
That's a good point to bring out.
And then I have one other question about this. I'm sure this has already gone through all of the considerations, but can our current locations, I know when we redrew the lines last year, we looked to you, all of us, like collectively, and said, can these locations handle this many with room to grow? And you were comfortable more so in some places than others that they could handle it. Can these two locations handle the 1,800 or so, give or take, extra?
Of the three that are available for this change, those are the two that can most ably handle it, but they will be full at that point. No room to grow.
Thank you.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Did we pursue with the manager's office, if the issue of insurance does come again? Is it possible for them to just pay the premium for the day, or I don't even know what is available, because just something tells me this is going to come back from other places next year, possibly.
State law won't allow that, but it will
Really?
allow us, it's in the code section that will allow us to pay for
Audio.
custodian type things, but that's.
That's not
Does the county's liability coverage cover the use of that facility? If we went back to them and said, well, the county carries this policy.
So here is the crux of the issue. I think most of these entities, or at least the church, would like us to be able to indemnify them, to say like, we'll defend you if something happens. We are prohibited by law from doing that.
Mhm.
So as a practical matter, you're correct that yes, if something happens and it's our fault, our insurance will respond, but that will in no way prevent someone from also suing the facility. And so that's why I think that's the rub. If that makes sense.
That's too big a risk.
I mean, it's up to them to decide that. I mean, presumably, if they have a space that is regularly having, for instance, worshipers come and they're not having a lot of slip and falls or other things, I mean, I would hope the risk is low to them, but they have to make that decision. While we're on this, we do have a question though, so.
So Charlotte, when we talked, so one of these polling locations would be outside the precinct. Is that right?
So the precinct lines will be adjusted to include, so it will be included inside the precinct. So 7A would no longer exist, basically, what it would. It would just all go away. It'll be 7A, would
7A.
be now 7B, where that line, I'll go, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Everything that's the lighter color here would be 7B. Is that right? Everything that's the darker color here would be 6C.
Yeah, so the line would just be changed.
So I think I need to point out, the question that we received was not about changing precinct lines. And so Courtney's the only person who's had a chance to look at this. I've been in meetings all afternoon. I don't think the attorney's office is prepared to provide adequate legal representation on this particular question because that's not what we had understood the issue to be.
Oh,
So we're gonna need to research that and get back to you all.
because there's polling precinct and there's voting location.
That's right.
Polling
And the
location
changes
was
was what we, was what we were
I see.
focused on, so.
Yeah.
Precinct.
changes in maybe 9 days.
Yes, totally. I mean, I think it's totally different. from
Yeah,
the
definitely
code section.
different.
Okay.
I see. So I have a question, but it's my turn again.
Go ahead.
Understanding that you've not had sufficient time to be totally confident in advice about this, do we need to change the precinct lines in time for this election? Can that not wait until 2025? Can this not be a temporary emergency polling location change, not a polling precinct change for these people?
That's the thing.
Bias.
There's just, there are different guidelines about changing the
Emergency.
lines in the precinct. for the places.
And again, I mean, we hadn't had time, but just as we've been sitting here and it occurred to me that we were talking about moving I thought we were moving a polling location into another precinct. There are emergency provisions, but we haven't had time to, yeah.
And there's separate rules about if you're going to have a polling location that's out of the current precinct.
Right.
Versus having a polling location line change.
Right, so changing a precinct line
Yes,
versus having a polling location outside of the precinct.
yes.
Those are two different legal issues, neither of which we know anything about right this second.
It does say 60 days. No bounds of precinct shall not be altered on the day which a primary election during the period of 60 days prior to a general primary election. So it is 60, it's still 60. Oh, the line changes. That's 21 to 261.
I mean, I'll have to, there's no way.
Yes,
I know.
we just can't. We're gonna end up in the same situation before where we have to go back and redo the notices.
Yeah. And that was a frustrating situation to be in. And my question is, and it may not be our place to ask this question, wasn't there a conversation that happened this afternoon already?
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened before. I don't know, how can we,
Avoid it not happening again?
yeah, how
Well,
can we better, I mean,
Well,
to me, they're one and the same. I don't know.
I mean, you have to, okay, when a location informs you that we can't use them anymore. You look at the fact that, okay, we knew this a month ago, okay? In a month, we've been working. We've been visiting locations. Okay? So now we have an idea. Now we have an idea. This is what we need to do. Now we need to look at what is the timeline. The timeline, the November is coming quick. So how could we avoid this from happening? The only way we could avoid it happening is if the Unitarian had told us in February that they were not going to be able to be a precinct for us in November. So
That wasn't quite my question.
and then the last time, I think it's the way the code section is written. Because the last time to inform the polling locations of the 2 consecutive weeks, if the board hasn't voted on it, this is how I took it. If the board hasn't voted on it, why are we gonna tell them that we're changing?
Yeah, it has.
So I was thinking logically. I wasn't thinking law. I was thinking logically. The board hasn't voted to change the location yet. Why would I tell them, hey, we're gonna be moving our location? So what if the board decides not to? Do we now send them a letter and say, hey, no, we're not moving the location. Now we need to come back. So I was thinking logical. So that's how we got messed up the last time.
Yeah, and I guess what was the extent of the conversation with the Unitarian Church? Was it, we can't do this, okay, and that was the end? Or was there some type of sit down, let's see if we can find a path forward, whatever your concern is,
So the conversation included not just their insurance.
Mhm.
It included the fact that this is a contentious election. And now our insurance is gonna go up because we're not just having church, we're now opening our facility up for a public engagement where something could happen. So we would have to increase our insurance. Additionally, We get phone calls every election from one particular voter. Can't recall the name right now, of things that are posted at the church that they feel should not be posted at the church during an election. So if they're calling us, they're calling the church. So with that being said, I can imagine that they are receiving calls as well as they're trying to be proactive with this election because they are very contentious. You know that. We're seeing everything, the threats and the intimidation of the voters and intimidation of the locations. And then the major caveat is the fact that their insurance is going to be going up because they're having to pay this additional premium because they're hosting a engagement that's outside of the worship experience.
When you talk about posting something, then you talk about something the office has posted, not something the church has posted.
That the church has posted.
Something the church has posted. Oh,
It could be
that's not our problem.
examples, Black Lives Matter. That was one of the main things that was brought to our attention, that sign should not be there because it's a polling location.
What sign?
Black Lives Matter.
Oh,
We can be transparent. That was one of the phone calls that we received.
And then, of course, you know, it's their decision, period.
Yeah.
And when people are having that type of pressure put on them, because we know what the climate is, and we know insurance people, if there are situations that are gonna be hazardous, they're gonna know, they'll be extreme in how much they charge.
All right, so I think the path forward is, when is an adequate date in the next few days that you can review this and we can have a special call meeting to resolve this? I leave town next Wednesday, so it needs to be before next Tuesday, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm having surgery next Wednesday, so
Okay.
I would really appreciate it.
All right.
It could, some kind
I'm
of.
willing to meet on Friday afternoon if that's necessary. I know that's not everyone's ideal situation.
what day are you proposing?
I'm essentially flexible until Tuesday, the close of business. So,
From my perspective, it's really gonna depend on Courtney. Unfortunately, I'm booked solid with court and hearings and mediation this week. So some of it may get done early, but I couldn't guarantee any of it at this point. So, you know.
I'm confident and
Oh, that's right. Courtney's out of town the rest of the week. I forgot. So,
reach out to Judd.
Judd is off. Now I can reach out to John, or Austin to see what their availability is to assist. But I think, to be able to guarantee that one of us could be there, it would have to be Monday. There's a good chance I'd be available later Friday. I think that hearing will be done hopefully around 1:00, but I don't know that. Thursday, the mediation might be done earlier, it might go all day, so I just don't know. And then tomorrow, probably wouldn't give us enough time to prepare because I have a court and hearings all day.
I raised this question because of the urgency. Please correct me if this is also out of bounds. Is there outside counsel that could assist us with this so we don't jam ourselves into deadlines with vacations and surgeries and court and all the other things that?
I mean, I think we could get it done for sure by Monday if that's works for you.
Board members, can you meet on Monday?
Question. Yes.
Okay.
But help me, I have a question. It seems, I'm missing something apparently, because it seems like our part in this is pretty clear. We must change away from UFA. The best, the least worst, or best option is what's been presented to us. Should we not just make a motion saying, let's make that happen, and they can take care of the details?
Their advice was that
Yeah.
they needed to review the law.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that we're in compliance as far as notifications and communications
Absolutely.
and all the
Yeah.
things.
I hear that, but isn't our role as superintendent just to say, I'm sorry to quote Star Trek, but make it so? And they can take care, like, is that not out of bounds for us just to say
The
that?
last time we had 2 resolutions that we put forward. Will we need to do that again? And See, they don't know.
I see.
They don't know the answer to these questions.
There's, I guess, more importantly, there's timeline. I mean, I don't know if you said yes today, but it requires 160 days, it's not going to, but
I see.
Right.
I don't know.
I think there's too many unknowns. It's too important of a decision to,
Yeah,
So,
to make any kind of move on our part.
I understand better now. Thank you. So
Thank you for
Director-
asking. Thank you for asking.
Monday, does that work for you?
Everything works for me.
I like that.
Me too. 3:30 or,
Everything works for me.
Yeah.
This is priority over everything.
Oh, yeah, it is summertime, so we can meet earlier, couldn't
yeah,
Now, we have to have
I
this.
mean, I'll do a
during
lunch
work
meeting
hours,
if you want to.
right? We cannot do in the evenings or weekends, a meeting. Okay.
Now,
I mean, in all seriousness, if we need to do a lunch hour, I can do that on Monday if it makes it easier on the staff.
I'm fine,
Season
I'm
not,
flexible.
I'm available from 8 to 5 that day.
okay.
I'm good.
I mean, Director, does 12:30 on Monday work?
that's gonna work.
And that way we're not here all night.
That's.
Yeah, and then we won't be like have a squeeze up on us, cause we got time. Cause if you come in here
Yeah,
at
okay.
4:30, 5 o'clock.
So-
Who knows?
Okay, so Monday, 12:30, can you prepare a special agenda for Aletha?
I will.
To post? Yes,
Have to be at,
Lexington Road.
yeah, I
Yes,
assume that.
ma'am.
Does that drastically affect your availability if it's at Lexington Road?
No, not at all.
That's, okay.
And that is National Gummy Worm Day, so I've gum.
Okay.
Excellent.
Science.
I expect nothing different. Cool.
National Gummy.
I like the
Worm.
word, I like the sour words.
The sound. They're good too.
Yeah. Okay, let's stay on track here. So the next thing I think we need to do is table agenda item 2 for Monday's special meeting. So floor is open to tabling that agenda item. Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling agenda item under old business number 2, selecting a new polling place for 7A, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on. The next and final agenda item is the discussion of an offsite meeting. I think some of that was touched on during the director's report. Is there anything additional to add or?
Roxy?
Yes. Oh,
the board meeting, are we changing the date?
Oh, he hadn't got there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll add it under new business. We
Oh,
can
okay.
amend the agenda.
They
Okay.
amended it.
Hold on, we gotta do like 8 things before we can do anything. All right, the chair, yeah, do you have a question about agenda item number 3?
No, agenda item number 2.
Business.
I forgot something. I made a note that we had done the discussion for director's report. Ms. Fambro had a question about outreach.
It was still in my
We
mind.
wanted to roll that into that item before we moved on from that. I wanted to see if we wanted to talk about that, about how we're gonna reach out to people to make.
I think we need to,
Yeah, we need to already have that on go.
Yeah.
Before we make a decision, I think.
yeah, let's come to Monday's meeting. Let's have 2 agenda items
Yeah,
under, after we make the decision, because that'll affect the communication of what we're doing. All right. So the chair is going to entertain a motion to amend the agenda in front of us to add under new business, changing our regular meeting date for September due to staff conflicts.
Does this require a motion?
Or not? Does it?
A motion didn't really name these dates, I thought. We just,
I
the meeting.
think we did
Oh,
do the dates on it.
okay, thank you.
I remember there was a motion.
Yeah, so motion is on the floor. I can make that if.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All those in favor of adopting the agenda to change the September meeting date? Say aye.
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 Director, what date are you proposing? changing it to?
The 17th, what's the 17th? On a Tuesday, the 17th.
Tuesday. So it's on there,
I had added that to the announcements.
but we
When we
haven't
received
taken
it.
action. I understand. Okay. I'm checking my calendar. Does anyone else need to?
I looked at mine, yeah, that's, or is that-
September the 17th.
it looks good.
Wide open. Look at that.
I won't be at that meeting.
Same time. All right, the floor is open for a motion to change the meeting date to September 17th, regular monthly meeting date.
I might make a.
I so moved,
Okay. Okay. Motion, Ms. Fambro, motion, or second, Ms. Till. We'll let the fingers catch up here.
Thank you. I'm good to go.
Finish the location.
Training room? Who made that motion? Ms. Fambro, are you open to a friendly amendment to add
yes.
2555? Are you ready?
I have a motion by Ms. Fambro to change our September regular monthly meeting date and location to September 17th and 2555 Lexington Road, seconded by Ms. Tills.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Date is changed. That was a big sigh.
Oh, that was me.
Next agenda item are announcements. Mr. Secretary, would you read the announcements with the change we just made?
Happily. Tuesday, August the 13th, 120 West Doherty Street, 4:30 PM will be our August regular meeting. August the 19th is the first day to request absentee ballots for the November election. Tuesday, September 17th at 2555 Lexington Road at 4:30 PM will be our September regular meeting.
Excellent. All right. Are there any further announcements, questions, concerns? Jokes? I can't read lips.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Say thank you to GIS.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you, Joseph and Mary. We appreciate you.
thank you very much. You
As
came
always.
through once again.
All right. Final agenda item is to adjourn. Chair entertains a motion.
So moved.
Oh,
I second.
I think Ms. Fambro had that. This is like the photo finish and then the second is still all those in favor of adjourning.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned 5:19.
Washington.
Looking at Rocky.
I can't read. Okay.
Last one for you.
But I'm gonna take it.
Maybe
I'm gonna be, I want to.
we need to sign this.
Yeah.
Anyway, cancellation.